Everyone, Michigan here with another video for you. This time we have our first training video released on this channel where I record some of the trainings I've done with the class family and I post them here for you to see, or maybe you're a class member who missed the training or you were in the training and you want to go back and see some of what I was talking about. I learned a ton in this training, even though I was the one running it. I'm sure you're going to learn something as well. There is tons of knowledge here from over 30 people, I believe, showed up to this training, maybe a little more. So, ton of heads together, and enjoy the video. All right, so all my tents on the other side. You guys can just head over to Hotel 5. There's a set of buildings right there where there's no bushes. You guys are just going to go one at a time, and I'm going to kind of describe what I'm shooting, what I'm looking at, and if you want to watch the video later, if it's enough, then you're more than welcome to do so. I'll post it, I'll link it in the form. I'm shooting all goals here as standard with 322 and pretty standard. I know we have a lot of 340 heat. This is with a VCR, so heat may be a little bit different, but it should be good for that purpose. So, you guys see the
User joined your channel.
Over here. We want to be sidescraping. Let's go building right here on the Juliet Ford. So boom, why don't you start? I want you to just side scrape on that corner, other side of that. The other super heavies just line up behind him. I'm going to kind of demonstrate. So IS-7 is a fairly common thing. Obviously, you don't want to be side scraping, or if you're side scraping, usually in more of a defensive play. If we're pushing, which is the majority of the time when we're running fast heavies, that's fine. But now the IS-7 has the interesting perk to it, which has that pike nose. I'm just going to come right around here. Can you just pull away from the building quickly? So pike nose means it's great. Can you just go?
Buddy joined your channel.
Turn straight towards me. Perfect. But you can see here, see how that is now orange? You guys won't be able to see again, but I'm looking at the whole upper front of his plate, and it's all orange because he slanted away from me. Obviously, the lower plate is green. Now, boom, I want you to angle towards me. So now we have another issue, which is you can see the other side, now super dark. It's actually red in some places. But the part facing towards me is now all green. Remember, when you're shooting a plate, you always want to hit it as close to a 90-degree angle as possible, and that's one of the biggest weak points of the IS-7. So, boom, I want you to side scrape on that corner. Alright, now just side scrape like you're going to shoot me, and you can see I can just go right through that, because it's angled straight towards me. Now, can you reverse side scrape on that? The IS-7 can take care of some of this issue by reverse side scraping. It's a little dicey, because there is a flat angled piece on the other side of his tank. But if he's able to get it just closely enough, there is a good chance I will ricochet. You can see here, perfect boom. I can actually get a little bit there, but you can see the most of the side of his tank is all red. So, takeaway with the IS-7, if you're playing in an IS-7, don't angle against enemy tanks, because all you do is present a flat plate for them. You want to be straight on. So the IS-7 is decent for face hugging. Obviously, you don't want to block your teammates behind you. However, if you do find yourself in an area where you need to side scrape, try and reverse side scrape here. If you're watching this afterward, you can see there's a little plate here where I can shoot, but I'm right on the corner. I'm going to be hard-pressed to hit that without going all the way around. Okay, boom, thank you very much. Let's get the VK up.
And one thing about reverse side scraping with the IS-7, no gun depression, so I could not get on his lower plate by doing that.
That's it. Thank you for that. That's a good point. You do not want to be side scraping with a fast heavy, especially in competitive play if you don't have to. What we really want is something like a VKK here. Now, VK, great armor all the way around. But if you're familiar with the Panzer 7, you're going to know it has a weak point, which is right in this little triangle corner. I'll point it off. Stick my gun on it. So, right here on his side. I don't know if everybody can see that.
Yeah, back up a little bit.
So the Panzer 7 has a much larger weak point. Now the VK, you can see here, it's mostly green. However, when you get up to the top, you're not necessarily going to pen it. You can see it goes from green to orange a little bit. What you really want is this triangle right here, the lower part of that triangle. the part that's connected to the hull and isn't really part of the turret. So we'll just throw it in there. Easy to go through. I think you can go through this with standard rounds. Now, if we go to the top, right, there are some areas where we can't. It's possible you can pen it, but it's not reliable. If you can, just shoot the lower part. All right. Now with a VK, you can make this a little more difficult by wiggling, moving in and out. And if you can just make it as hard as possible for me, then you can see here, he's angling here, and I shoot right there. I was pre-aimed for it, but he wiggled at the last second, and I think I hit his fender. So you do occasionally expose your lower plate doing that, but, right, getting some damage in. VK is a little weak there. VK does have that nice alpha, though. You can trade with enemies if they do that, right? Because if I'm shooting out here, you can shoot me. If you want to shoot me, go ahead. I mean, you can do it with everybody. Okay, well, I guess I got lucky there. He bounced my target. But that would go straight through my front. Is there anything you want to add for the VK as to how to play it, how to pen it?
Something that you can do instead of trying to side scrape, you can try to bait them into shooting right there, like that.
I like that.
But it's not super reliable and should really be done like if it's just one-on-one.
Can I add something for people who are new to the game? This is Fister. Sorry. Can I add something that's for people who are new to the game? A lot of people, like me personally, whenever you're saying about lower plate, cheeks, all that stuff, we don't know specifically what you're talking about. So if you can like try to be more specific
People probably don't even know what Sidescrape is.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to do a little tank anatomy on the E100 here. So I'm going to get right in front of you. Jameer, why don't you hop up next? Just right there is actually perfect. So what I'm looking at, lower plate. Now that is, you have kind of a triangle on the front of an enemy tank. Now the lower plate, the plate between the two tracks. So I'm going to shoot that area right there. You can see where that shell went through.
Yeah, the lower plate is below, like the slope of the hull between the tracks, like underneath where it goes at a different angle.
Yes, where it starts to slant backwards underneath the tank. Now, upper plate is the area I just shot. It's usually not advisable to shoot the upper plate on most vehicles. Do we have a JP on cap?
Yes, we do.
Oh, okay. Well, hopefully he's getting off. Well, I was going to talk about penning him, but I guess we're not going to. That's fine. So, if we want to talk about one more thing, there's the drive wheel. Now, you have a front and reverse drive wheel. Most of the time, you're just going to get the front. And this will allow you to trap the tank and cause damage. You're just hang out there, because most of the time you don't get the full side. So let's say I'm on an angle. I could just shoot his side. I could shoot the side of his turret. The most ideal place to shoot him is going to be right in that drive wheel. Now, I shot furthest, most. You can see all the wheels on the side of his tank. I'm sure everybody can. One all the way in the front here is the one I want to shoot. That's going to track him, and it's going to go right through his hole. Jameer, why don't you pop up on the corner, and we're going to talk a little bit about the weaknesses and strengths of E100. So, unlike the, you have a VKK and you have a mouse. The VKK has 7D alpha. Mouse has 490. E100 gets a choice of, 520?
530, I believe.
530 or 750. So a lot of people will opt to use the 128mm, which will give you 530 alpha, and the benefits there are the rate of fire and just better gun handling, but you can't trade quite as well. So Mir here has brought the, I think you have the 128, right?
Yeah, smaller one.
Yeah. So let's look at the E100 here. So when you can see he's angling his turret. Now the E100 has very weak cheeks. The cheeks are the area on the left and to the right of the gun. Can you just angle your turret towards me? So you can see to the left of the gun and to the right of the gun. Those are the turret cheeks. Now it's very prominent on the E100 as it's so flat. If we look at the VKK, we also have turret cheeks to the left and to the right of the gun. Now it's quite hard to, and there is some areas in the VKK that you can shoot. I believe right on Malin here you have a chance. You can see I just got him there. right around the edge of the gun, you can actually pen the VKK, but it's usually hard to do, especially if he's wiggling his turret. You can see it on... Boom, can you angle your turret towards me? You can see the IS-7 has cheeks, but with that, it's basically you have a little bit of orange here on the lower part of the turret, but for the most part, the cheeks are all red and they're very slanted back.
There is one spot on the IS-7 as well. If he's raising his gun up, you can pen right under there.
Okay, perfect. Let's throw a shot in there. Oh,
usually.
I missed. That was on me.
Just so I know what you're talking about. Like the cheeks, whenever you're talking about cheeks of a turret, you're talking about to the left or right of the gun mantlet. Not directly on where the gun is pointing out.
No, you do not want to shoot the gun at all. I mean, if you really have no choice, you could try and HE it, and maybe damage it, and force him to use his repair kit. But for the most part, you're really not trying to shoot the gun or any external module. So that's another thing. External modules are things, damaging those oftentimes doesn't cause damage. So if I shoot the VK in his track, just head on, you can see it'll damage his track. It says critical damage, didn't take it out. No damage. The gun is also that. Viewport, yeah, you can see right there.
So external modules and internal modules are different.
Yes, internal modules are areas inside of your tank. You know, I guess per...
You could say the Chieftain being one of them. You see the viewport on the hull right above it. It's the driver. Right below the viewports there on the hull is where the driver is located.
Perfect.
Gotcha.
All right, let's jump back to the E100 real quick. So, I want you to do what you were doing before when you angled your cheek. So the flat cheeks, obviously, we were talking earlier about 90 degree, shooting at a 90 degree plate, or one closest. So the E100 has a very flat turret, which means when you shoot the turret cheeks, it's going to be at a 90 degree angle. Unlike the tanks we looked at earlier, the IS-7, the VKK, where it's sloped back. So Demir here is going to angle his turret. So even though I'm shooting the side of his turret, I have no chance of penning that even with premium. Demir, I want you to come out like you're going to shoot me. Don't actually shoot me. So you can see there, he comes out to shoot me, and his turret is angled directly towards me, which means that plate is flat, and therefore I can much more easily go through. Now, it's still orange, but it's your best chance you have. Obviously, his track is so wide that I'm not going to get a shot at his lower plate. Not without over-angling or overexposing myself to a ridiculous point. Now, Demir, I want you to do the same thing. We're not going to do it Sidescraping because I just want to demonstrate how effective this is. So, angle your whole tank away from me like you would normally do. You can see here, right, I'm looking at his turret. Maybe there's a rubble pile. Obviously, I have shots on his lower plate, but even that, you can see is orange. So that won't necessarily pen every time. Let's say he's behind a rubble pile. He's not Sidescraping. You can look at his turret and it's angled away from me. So we're going to shoot basically the same place as before. It's not going to go through. Anywhere on this turret, it's not going to go through. Even the side here, I may get a shot in. Well, actually, that did pen. He's going to be wiggling his turret back and forth. So that may not go either. Obviously, we're shooting premium here. So armor is going to be extra difficult to work with. Anybody want to add anything else to the E100?
Two things.
Yes.
The side when he's Sidescraping like that, or he turns his gun the other way. Can you angle your go forward there, Mitch? Can you angle the other way, the opposite way, away from him, like you're trying to over Sidescrape? The base of behind the mantlet, right where the gun protrudes there, that could be a weak spot. I don't know if it is. But the other weak spot is above him, where the ears stick out on the top of him. That whole bar is weak there. If you can hit that, it'll pen most of the time, but it's obviously hard to pen.
Yes, if he's wiggling, that can make for it difficult.
The seam is too between.
So yes, I see that here. He has to angle quite aggressively away from me, where the whole side of his turret is green. But maybe there's a building there.
People will, like unexperienced people, will over-angle that and try to angle it away from you. I mean, I did it when I first learned how to E100. I would angle it away and figure, like, hey, I'm getting penned. It was usually that top bar, or it was the side of my gun.
Okay, yeah, and there's also that little port up.
Yep. It's a part of the bar, I think. But yeah, if you can pen right through it.
Okay, perfect. I don't want to shoot you anymore, Demir, because you'll die, and I'd love to keep you alive. All right, let's go with the Strv real quick, because that's an easy one. All right, Strv, difficult to pen from the front, obviously. right? And he's got that bar that's going to stop
You can't
HE.
pen the Strv right from the front.
So you can get his little cupola, and that's going to pen. Now the big weakness of the Strv is similar to the M5Y, if you're familiar with that. Just angled just so subtly away from you, Kalinga. A little bit more.
User joined your channel.
Here, I'll work it. So you can actually overmatch that side plate. Now I don't know exactly how angled you have to be. You can see right here, it's fairly angled. You can hold right there. And I can go right through that little plate there. Now the Strv is often stationary, remember, because he's in his siege mode. So it is going to be difficult to do. So it's a big thing. Don't shoot the Strv if he's looking right at you. You can track him. You could angle. You could shoot for that spot. But a lot of times Strvs will rock their gun up and down if you want to try that. Yeah, and that makes it a little difficult, especially with that bar, or they're moving all over the place because it's pretty good. A big thing, just try not to shoot the Strv in the front unless you're confident in shooting the cupola. It's even the upper part of the cupola just counts as a viewport. So you actually have to shoot that lower part, and it's just a little area. If you're watching this later, you'll see what I'm talking about.
I'm pretty sure you should also have enough millimeters on your gun to be able to go through the little shovel on the bottom. I'm not entirely sure. But...
it's all red for me.
At certain angles, if he's wiggling his gun up, like when he goes up, he should be able to pen it pretty. Like I don't know what the angle is, but
raise your gun all the way up in the air, Kalinga, as far up as you can. So there we go. I mean, you can see it just exposes the entire bottom of that vehicle. I don't know in what scenario a Strv would be doing that. Maybe trying to hide his cupola.
Ridge line, maybe.
Here, Boom, do you have AP loaded?
I got APCR loaded.
I mean, that'll
User
work.
left your channel.
Have the Strv look straight at the i7 and try to hit the little shovel there, as close to the bar as you can.
Okay, that went.
Yeah,
through.
with
User joined your
I can't
channel.
remember the exact millimeter, but I know 130 and higher can overmatch that.
It shows all red for me, for whatever reason.
Well, yeah, it's because you've got a 120 and not a 130.
Yeah, you're more knowledgeable than I am. Let's get the 379.
Just keep in mind, the Strv is almost always going to be behind something. So you're not going to have that shovel to shoot most of the time.
Or you'll be behind a push. I mean, once the Strv gets lit, that's why we always say focus it out. All right, let's get the 279 over here. I only have 4 rounds of APCR. We're just going to kind of blast through these.
One other quick note on the Strv, if I could. What?
Yeah, go ahead. Yes.
Don't forget that grill across the front will stop heat. APCR can get through it. AP can get through it. It will stop heat. So
and HE as well.
right. So even if you have the shot, he's going to have it angled. They'll have the gun up just even a little bit. It covers that cupola. You won't be able to touch it.
Okay, good point there.
Okay, and Mitch, you're bringing in 279E. Something that I think you should kind of touch on here is whenever the 279E is side scraping and they expose their front and you're trying to shoot their cheeks, always shoot the cheek that is closest to you on the side scraping, because a lot of people in Class Y do not know that. Like,
right, we're going to go over that in just...
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure that you were going to cover that specific thing.
So 279, if we're just looking at it from the front, you don't want to shoot high up on there. The best place is right above the tracks. You can see this little splash guard that goes across the front of the tank here. I like to shoot below it. There's a rectangle. Raise your gun up in the air for if I can see it. You can see this rectangle right below. He currently has a Clan Wars emblem there, or the what is that?
That's the
season.
It's a clan logo. It's the Griffin from the one
season.
event. Yeah.
So I like that area if he's head on. If he's angled towards me.
User joined your
Think about
channel.
the IS-7 and just imagine that the 279 is an IS-7 for a second. Obviously not as defined, but that is sort of, if you will, it's rounded. So that means that the 279 does suffer from some of the same weaknesses as the IS-7. Now you can see this whole triangle. Look at where the what do you call those? The carabiner clips, if you will.
The tow cables, I would assume, is
yes.
what they are.
Where those meet ball or where those are, if he's angled towards you and you can clearly see those tow cables, that's a weakness. So actually that one did not go through, even though it's green. Let's try one more. I'm down to 3 rounds. I'll have Blue take over shooting.
Buddy joined your channel.
There we go. One went through now. 279 is very strong. So, it's 50-50 on those. That's your best bet. Same on the other side.
Just so you know, the 279E does keep ammunition behind that, so you can actually ammo rack them there too.
Perfect. Okay, good.
And if you can get above him, that whole bullnose turns into paper.
Gotcha.
If you can get the upper angle on him.
User joined your channel.
That being said, if you're below him, don't even bother.
Right.
No,
Exactly.
that's not true. There's a thin lip along the front of that non-hull, right? It's only maybe an inch or two high. That is pennable all the way across.
Can
It's
we
a
get
very
you
tight
ramped
shot.
up on... Or maybe you can ramp on the rock right in front of him. Let's see. Let's just take a look at this because we're all. I mean, I'm learning stuff here too that I didn't.
Well, there's a hill right over there he can get on if you want him to ramp up. Now, isn't it true
Behind you.
also if the 279E turns his turret a little bit, the sides of the turret are quite weak?
In a sense, you kind of need heat to pen those, I would think.
Okay, you know what? Let's try over here, Career. I'm gonna go below you. Let's see. We'll kind of simulate. Oh, just trying to look here. I'm gonna take it at the exact. I'm looking for.
The tree's in the way. We can't really see what's going on.
Okay. Here, Career, come a little closer.
There's a hill right over there he can get on.
It's just gonna drown.
It's gonna end because you're the only guy on the team. You got it. Yay.
Oh, I got it. Okay, it's gonna go over here. Alright, let's try.
Yeah.
Alright, so, I mean, you guys can't see when I'm zoomed in.
No, we can't see. We can only see the guy who's shooting.
Okay. So, I'm just gonna get underneath him. Oh, I do see the bar he's talking about. So, right there, he was just shot. So, there we go. It's a very slight bar, but the 279 is gonna have to be stationary for you to hit that.
Yeah, and they don't sit still.
Sometimes they do, though. You can get lucky. If you don't have any other shot, it's worth trying.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
He's rocking. He's gonna make it quite difficult, but I do get the occasional glimpse of.
I actually ammo racked that through that with a FV4005. Exactly same spot.
Really?
Yeah.
And Mitch, if you swap places with him, you'll be able to see how that whole front nose turns green.
Yes, okay, so here's another one. Yeah, why don't you hop down there, Career? So, you know, this is kind of going from Sidescraping to just hitting a 279, which is all good stuff.
We run into a lot and have issues with some of us.
User joined
So
your channel.
279 above you, I mean, this is the case with most vehicles. Obviously, again, we're talking about that 90 degree. You want to get as close to that as possible. When I'm on flat ground with him, he's going to be sloped away from me. But now I'm shooting down. If you think about the trajectory of that shell, it's going to hit that plate much more square. So you can see the entire front of his vehicle is green. Obviously, the turret's a little weak. I've got green on the cupolas. They're much easier to hit. I've got some of his engine deck, so it's quite easy to pen him this way. Just avoid a good thing to go by is just avoid the turret of the 279 if you can avoid it, or if you don't have to shoot it, unless you're going for the cupola. But the cheeks on this, you're not getting through. I don't know. Do you have the same weakness when you raise your gun up? No. So it doesn't have the same weak point as the IS-7. That will lose. All right. What else can we add to the 279?
With version 4, I was able to pen him one-on-one, like right where that little light is on the right side. Like
Oh yeah, the
right
light,
here.
other side.
Other side of him?
The driver's headlamp. The headlamp.
Driver's light.
Oh.
Yeah, right above right where that light is. With version 4, went no problem with the the premium round.
Actually, back up a little bit more. Okay, we have 2 minutes, so we're gonna go through this real quick. This is 20 minutes.
I have one more question. So, obviously you have regular ammo, gold ammo, and like HE ammo. What is the difference from heat ammo, APCR? Like, what is the difference in the ammos? Like,
Would anybody like to?
Some tier 9s that use APCR. Like, does APCR have a better pen than heat ammo does? Like, what is the difference in those ammos?
It mostly depends vehicle to vehicle, but in general, armor piercing and APCR act basically the same way. APCR has ever so slightly less normalization than regular armor piercing, meaning that it can't pen at angles that are quite as steep as AP. High explosive anti-tank, it doesn't lose any penetration over distance. It penetrates in a different way. And generally, once again, it depends on which vehicle you're using, whether it has more pen than APCR or not. Armor piercing and APCR are, they're penetrators. They use kinetic energy. High explosive anti-tank uses a stream of hot metal to penetrate, meaning it doesn't lose penetration over distance, and angles aren't really as big a deal, at least with regards to actually penning.
Perfect. So the mouse is very similar to the E100. We're going to just quickly look at this, in which has a fairly weak turret. It's not as weak because close to the turret is angled, where it's sloped. As you can see, I'm going to keep this side of you. Just keep your turret right there. When you look here, you can look at the shape of the turret. It's sort of a half moon. That means that it's going to get progressively harder to pen the further up or down you go on the turret. So why don't you point your turret right towards me. The mouse is quite a tall tank, so oftentimes you'll be shooting up at it. But we're gonna go about 40 meters. The turret. Now, remember, this is what we call the turret cheeks. So you look immediately to the left and to the right of the gun. If you just, you put a line straight across from turret to turret, and it was flat, and it went straight through the gun, that's what you want to aim for, right? Because, again, thinking about the trajectory of the shell, it's going to go straight. So you want it to hit the flattest part of that turret. Now, if I look all the way at the top of the turret, remember that curve. It's going to be angled away from me. It's like I'm hitting the top of a ball. It's going to deflect away. Same with the lower side. However, if I hit it directly, I'm going to go right through that turret. Now, I'm sure everybody can see that hole. I'm right in. You can see that big
User
hole
joined your
right beside the
channel.
turret. We're going to shoot the other side, too, just for good measure. You can see now he's got some nice dimples. So that's where you want to shoot. Now, I'm going to shoot the other side, the other parts of the turret, okay, so we can kind of see. So I'm going to shoot low. Now, actually, when you go through, however, it is orange. So maybe wargaming will be nice to us, and I'm going to shoot high. And you can see that deflected. Now, that was quite exaggerated, but you get the point. You really want to aim middle, and that allows for some shell deviation. Because it's not always going to go right in the middle. Right, let's get you Sidescraping.
Bitch.
Yes.
Sometimes when you aim on the lower part of the cheeks, it will deviate into the hull as a ricochet and pin.
Yes, it does. Or that's if I get that shot. When he's this close, I am kind of shooting up on it. It's good if you get lucky, but I would still aim for that center part. You can deflect right into the top into his engine deck. Alright, so looking at him right here, you can see, same as the U100. I'm looking at a ridiculously angled piece of armor. I'm not going to get anything. Now, he can poke out and shoot me. Now, I want you to poke out again, like you're going to shoot me. We're going to see the similarities here with the U100. So poke out and then just freeze. So come in a little bit. You're a little bit too far. Here we go. Okay. So what I'm looking at here is I'm looking at the gun of a mouse who's about to shoot me. I'm loaded. He's loaded. Obviously, the entire side of his tank is out of the question. If I was on his side, sure, but he's angled an insane amount. Gun mantlet, not happening. I have this little thing up there. That is not a weakness. That is not a weak point. There's that little bulbous viewport on the top of his turret. Yeah, you can't shoot it. So what I'm going to do is, again, I'm going to go right back to the side of the turret. That is going to be my best shot. When an E100 is side-scraping, that is all you've got. That's the only place you're really going to pen it. There's no weak points on the top, but it's a quite exaggerated weak point, like the E100. Anybody have anything for the mouse?
Something else to mention: if he's side scraping and he has his turret angled, just back out a little bit. Like, you see where the gun mantlet is? If you shoot center mass there, you should be able to pen that.
All right. So if you pull out over the top or too far, pull back a little too far. There we go. Okay. Oh yes, I can pen the side of that, and I can pen the little ring too. You can see some green. There we go. And again, because normally when you're just face me again with the turret. So normally, that's like it's like a traffic cone that comes out, right? So that's all going to be angled. But when he turns his turret away from me, now it's flat. So it's the same principle. It's a nice place to know. There's you got a little line here. Not so much towards the front, because that's where the gun is, remember. That's an exterior module. But you can see where that gun mantlet is really attached to the hull. That is a weak point. Right, anything else?
Yeah, that also applies to both sides.
How can you track them?
Let's move on to the 268 or something.
We'll move over real quick. So let's get the 268. Dog, and this one you don't even need to be on the. You don't even have to side scrape because you're not really side scraping that thing. 6-8 major weak points. We've got a weakness on the top. Look on the left side. Well, actually, no, you can use the building to hide that weak point if you want, because you're on the right side. So if you are on the left side of a building, you can hide that weak point. So I'm looking for it, right? The other side is a kind of a bit of a weak point, but I mean, with the version 4 rocking, like if you can rock back and forth, yeah, you can just see how difficult that becomes to pen, and it's just not that great. However, if he's in the open, I can get him right in this giant weak point on the left side. It's that huge looking, I don't even know what to call that. It looks like a hammerhead shark.
It's a rangefinder.
It's a rangefinder. I like my version. You can see the entirety of his upper hull. Ridiculous. The casemate is hard to pen. You do have a lower plate. Now, big thing to know with the lower plate. But it has 2 lower plates. So, like we saw with the E100, or we can take a look here at the anything, maybe the 277. You can see how he has one very distinctive lower plate. It's all one big piece. Version 4 has 2. So, you can see where this big steel bar is. In that one penned, again, you can see that it's orange. But what you really want to look for is that lower plate. So we're looking all the way down at the bottom. That's all green, and I'm going to go right through that. So if you rock back and forth again, Mad Dog, but when he actually rocks up, he actually makes that bigger, and I can actually get all the way under his tank as well. So he can't always hide. Now it gets quite intimidating when you have a version 4 coming straight at you. That is a area.
Hey, wake up!
All right, what else can we add to that?
When you're rocking, for those guys
User
who
joined your channel.
are fighting against version 4, and if you're face hugging, which you shouldn't do anyways, when he dips, you can actually see where my gun is, right in the front, the hull. You can actually pin that when he rocks forward. So
all right, let's
time it right.
The upper plate. What he's talking about is the upper plate.
No, not the upper plate. My upper engine compartment. It's right
talking about
underneath
the
my
upper
gun.
deck, right?
The upper deck.
deck.
Yep. So
okay, rock again, because I had the green for a second.
Where that pulley is.
Got a time.
There we go.
Right there. So anything on that. So if you time it right, if you don't have anything, any side scraping, and you are like with a Chieftain or a Super Conk, that if he's putting his gun in the way of your gun, he's doing this. If he's trying to aim and he rocks, take that as a second option. You can't shoot down at the lower plate because he's face hugging you. So if he comes up to you,
if you're shooting heat with like the 277 or the 279E,
Gunny and boom, behave yourselves.
It'll go through whether of course, if you're above it, you got easier pen, but the 279E is always above it. So if you're above it, it'll go through with heat easily.
Okay, so all tanks will clear out that front plate.
Yep.
I mean, you can do that with the AMX M4 too, I think.
Yeah.
All right, let's call the next tank.
So
all right, let's get the you've waited long enough, Slam. This is a pretty easy one. Like an IS-7, but it doesn't have that pike nose, so it's actually going to benefit from angling rather than angling. So it actually is a little planted, but it's a lot less than fine. Let's take a look. 7.7, obviously, right here. You can see I'm just hitting exterior modules. He can't hit me, I can't hit him. If you just come out a little more, like you're going to shoot me, I don't actually miss, but you can see the entirety of his frontal hull is mostly green. Now he can kind of take some of that away by angling back and forth. You can see that isn't necessarily a weak point. It is sloped away, but if we actually aim here, you can see you will just go right through the entirety of that frontal hull and the lower plate. Avoid trying to shoot the sides or getting a drive wheel shot here. He's too far angled away. You'll just track him, and you won't actually do any damage. You really need to be at about 30 degrees, a little more, really get that drive wheel shot. Slam, anything you want to add for the 277?
It's pretty much, most of it, it's keeping the hole out of anybody's sight.
Or it's pretty weak, or it's pretty strong. It does have a weak point on top. I'm not going to shoot it because I'm down to 8 rounds. But you do have a cupola. But if you have the cupola, oftentimes you will have the hole, unless he's hole down behind something. But it's quite hard to hide the entirety of that hole. Anything else?
I don't.
Were you going to do something about the E3? That's why we grabbed one?
Right, boom, your E3 is out in the open. Obviously, we can pretend he's behind rubble, so E3. Similar to the E4, it does have that big bulbous thing on the top, mini turret. However, on the E3, it is not a weak point, and you can see there he's using his gun to deter me from shooting it. So, I can shoot to the left and right of it, but it's not going to pin.
Something to mention, there is a little bar on that cupola. This isn't something that you will normally be able to hit, but you can pen it if you hit it just right.
Right. Right below the so-called mantlet of that mini turret. If you're watching this later, you will see that green. But he does have a very easy to pen lower plate. I'm not even going to shoot it. It's fairly straightforward. But if he's hold down, your best bet is oftentimes to engage somebody else. Because somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but other than that little
you
bar,
can pen his mantle. You can pen his mantle right beside either side of the gun. I do it all the time.
Stay still for a second, Boom. You know what, Penguin? Can you shoot it?
It's better with heat. It's better with heat. It's a better pen with heat. APCR may not go through it.
I do it all the time with my E3.
Yeah.
Okay, so with E3 on E3, you can pull that off. I see it's a little. Oh, there we go. Where did you go? Okay, so similar to what I was talking about with the VKK, at that little flat area where its gun's attached to the mantlet. Okay, so I didn't know that. So this is good training. Perfect.
And also keep in mind, even though your pen may overmatch the armor, as distance goes, so if I'm far away and he's trying to shoot my lower plate, the chances are he might not pen just because of the distance. Because you will lose some of your pen on that distance.
On Himmelsdorf, when you're in the banana road there, it is easier to pen that mantle than it is to try to snipe that cupola part.
Especially with the gun up in the air. Okay, good.
Plus, if you have a little bit of elevation, you can pin the top of the turret on the right side by that antenna.
Okay, if you're far above them.
There are 2 other hidden weak spots. To the lower left and lower right of the gun, the mantlet actually sits in a depression on the front of the hull. If you're above him just a little bit, there's 2 bright green spots on the lower side of the gun on either side of that mantlet.
So I'm looking, guys, at what anyway, so I'm looking at, do you see where the 3 headlights are? Like right behind that.
Yep.
There's one, and this one, there's 2. So it's tough to pen.
But you never know. Okay. You never know. You might need that shot. So
right.
But
so
you gotta shoot down into it, right?
Yeah.
That's what I'm hearing.
It's a little bit. You got to kind of
not straight at it.
Correct. But sometimes
I can actually shoot straight into it. I'm level with him, and that's where I penned him.
Okay. Well, there you go.
Right there, right behind the 3 headlights.
And you're using what?
Where those all meet, and you'll see it.
Wow. What were you using, Michigan, on that?
PCR.
Okay.
Oh, right there, you guys can just barely see it.
Next.
There it is. And actually, I can pen it. I mean, my gun's straight in it for anybody who wants to. See it.
User left your channel.
Right where my.
Does that help?
Yeah, but right there, guys. Right behind these 3 headlights. You'll see it later in the video. I'm going to try and cut through this as I can. All right, Chieftain. And then what do we have after that? Is that it?
We got Super Conqueror.
Chieftain and S-Conqueror. Penguin, do you want to go over the Chieftain? Anything specific we should know about? See if hold down.
I mean, if it's hold down, like, the only thing you really got is the little cupola, but that's hard to hit if he's flat with you.
Elevated.
If he's above you and he's using his gun depression, then it's basically impossible. There's a little bit under the gun that you can pen sometimes, but it's unlikely.
Have you guys seen that you can shoot up through the bottom of his turret, depending on how he's above you?
Because sometimes the Super Conch will lift his front end up a little bit to block that cupola, and you can shoot underneath, yeah, like you said, right underneath the gun.
Right. The hull is super weak. I think it's only 120 millimeters. You'll go right through it. Now, you want to just shoot center of mass, because if you're looking on my end, you can see that it starts to taper off towards the end, and that will ricochet. You'll see on my screen it's red. I'm looking. No, you want to try and shoot between the headlights. That's a good one. Or where that viewport is, right on the front of his hull. You see where it says like shake and has all those decals right in the middle. Just aim for that, because if you go off to the left or right, you might bounce him.
And penning that will also take out his driver, like I said before.
Okay.
You won't be able to move very fast, right?
Between the headlights, that's perfect.
There is one other weak spot.
Okay.
There's one other weak spot right above the turret, and you have to be. I don't know if you absolutely have to be above it, but I found this the other day. It'd probably be the E3 if you want to shoot at it, but where the H is on the top of this turret, there is it's a 316. I think you need to be able to pen. 316 penetration to do it, but at the angle flat, I don't know if it'll go through. But right at, can you get closer to him, please? I can't see without zooming in. So you see where the turret on the left side, it tapers back, and there's that where it starts the rectangle that's there where the gun is. Right above there, there's a flat bar. It's all a flat piece of a thing. And it's about 316 millimeters of pen that needs to go through it. So they tested it with the Hori 3, and it went through. But it's that flat part that's on top of the turret, obviously. I would assume you'd have to be above him, but I have never penned it myself.
So that's
but
an
I've seen
overmatch,
it done.
probably.
Yeah.
Okay, so 362 pen. If you have
316.
that, take a shot at it and let us know if it worked.
It was an AP. It was a gold AP round that was able to do it. So
you want to
right above the gun?
No, where the H is, there's a little plate there where the H is holding. There, yeah, above the gun in a general sense, but back farther.
Oh, it's that tiny little area.
Yeah, that's that flat plate between the two, where the two prongs come down from the H, right there, basically. It's that flat plate right there. But it's able to be penned probably if you get above him and aim down on it, because it would be flat 316 then.
My reticle's on it for anybody who wants to see it. My reticle's on it. It's a very small plate. It's maybe 6 inches by 1.5 inches wide.
Yeah.
All right. So was I high on that shot?
Let's see where you were.
No, that was right about
too high.
Yeah. Right below it, probably.
About a foot below it. There you go. You hit it right on. You covered it. You may have been a little too far to the right. You were just too far to the right. You can shoot maybe 1 inch to the left, and we'll see. Okay, so I mean you're bracketing it, but it's definitely
it's not where you're shooting there. I'm sorry. It's up where the H, the bar of the H.
Where the bar is.
Where the bar of the H goes across. It's but it's the center between the left and right, there where the lines come down for the H on the left and right. It's centered right there, but again, I would assume you'd have to be above it to actually pen it.
Okay, so good one to know if you're ever in a situation where you're not sure, if you don't have anything else. Go for it. All right, what's the last one, so we can just get this.
User in your channel timed out.
All right, who wants to do? You want to tell us about the SCON since you're.
Gunny's AFK.
Okay. Anybody want to do SCON?
I want to know how heat penetrates me in the front when I'm in an SCON.
Underneath your gun, when your gun goes slightly up between the cheeks, you see where the cheeks, where the gun mantle is, where that shot is. It's right there.
Hey, why is everybody shooting me?
Okay, so yeah.
So that
user joined your channel.
The other one is also on top.
Yeah, it's the turret ring.
So right above his turret, or right above his the turret above it, there's that little
user left your channel.
You can pin that if he's level with you, but if he's not, if he's at an angle, you cannot hit that. So the other angle is just to the side
user
of the gun
disconnected
mantle.
from your channel. Buddy was moved out. He left your channel.
The heat shielding is just on the inside on both sides of the gun. You can pin that, and of course the lower plate.
Right. Upper plate is, I think it's decent. It's better than the Chieftain, but it's not crazy low. I mean, you can see there that bounced. And then you have the cupola on the top. You which is pennable on flat ground. It's quite low slope, so I'm not sure. Normally that's very green, right?
Yeah, it's a sliver. It's great if he slightly turns. So if you're battling him and he turns his turret slightly and he's wiggling like that, give that a second and you can go green and take a shot. It's not 100%, but it's better than if he's
It's the bulge that you pen there. It's the bulge, not the ears on that skin, right? It's just the bulge that you pen there, and that's where it needs to be centered pretty much.
If you don't have your outline set up, there is a little part above that bulge, which is nothing. That is not an active part of the model. Same as
this part right up here, right up on top. So if you look at it,
there's a little area above that. Anything above that bar, with a little, it has a little gold on his skin, but that's nothing you can see there. The shell just goes right through it. Okay, anything else?
I don't know.
That's it. We're gonna wrap it up.
That's an hour, perfect.
Just so you guys know,
ouch.
This is the last training until after Clan Wars, and we'll resume after Clan Wars. Go ahead and kill Mitch, please, before he kills all of you.
Got ammo rack him.
Don't let him get that moss. Don't let him kill the moss.
I only have cash loaded. Okay, well, thank you guys all. I mean, this will probably be like a 45-minute video, but if anybody has any questions, it'll all be, just post them in YouTube there, and we'll communicate off of that. So, you turned from sidescraping to a whole lot more, but I actually learned quite a bit there. I did not know about that E3. And that was the big one that stood out to me. The mouse, the side of the gun mantlet. So a lot of good stuff there, and a lot of credits lost. 166,000.
The front lip of the 279E too.
Better you than me.
Hey, have you guys ever shot the? Have you seen that you can pen the underside of a Chieftain turret where it overhangs the tracks?
Yes.
Okay, just because we didn't talk about it, but it's a thing.
I'm off to go eat dinner.